On the 24th, I woke up and instantly saw that Russia had invaded and had a message from our team in Moldova that they had heard the invasion start.
I woke up really early in the morning to the sound of some sort of explosion. And I woke up Roma and I was like, "Did you hear that?"
And I just said, "No, sweetheart, this is just impossible. Everything is okay." And then happened an explosion where we felt the wave a little bit and a shake. And I looked at Emil and I said, "Well, that's real. Something big."
And then I remember that night we went to our friend's house and we talked till probably midnight. We talked about ministry, and that was so beautiful that we spent those first hours, I think, not shocked by what was happening, but just, okay, what are we doing next?
Converge has a relationship with Ukraine that really goes all the way back to their earliest days of independence. In 1991, Ukraine separated from Russia, from the Soviet Union. And Converge almost immediately jumped on board and began to reach out to that nation. Rivne and Cherkasy, the two places where Converge did most of its work, are today considered the evangelical centers. And their vibrancy for the gospel, their sending of missionaries, the strength of the church there is really unequaled in Europe. I get reports every other day, at least, of baptisms that are taking place in Ukrainian churches, some of them in the middle of the battle zones. We also have had the opportunity to see some of our workers in the field responding, and to have churches that are closer to the action respond in a great way.
Like most people here, we went kind of into just immediate response, finding housing, clothing, food, shelter, medical attention for people that are coming across the border.
As soon as possible, we tried to set up with all the local churches here in Poznań, all the regional churches, to have at least one coordinator who was supposed to work together based on shared databases of all the resources and all the needs.
The government has access to probably a lot more resources than the church does, but at the same time, the church has the truth of the gospel.
We want to reach out to build relationships with them and to show God's love and God's care.
Christian community in Moldova is a bit living in tensions due to the political influence, due to the social, ethnic, and denominational issues. But when the war started, everyone understood. Today, there are Ukrainians who are running from war. Tomorrow, Moldovans can be on their place. Everyone jumped. They were serving together. We offer psychological, psycho-emotional response and therapy. We have a very trained and experienced team.
We can make refugees at our table laugh because we know jokes and the same background. The church in Moldova knows Russian and actually minister to each other in the language of the aggressor.
Our church has two services, an Estonian congregation that meets in the morning and then a Russian congregation that meets after that. There's a woman from our Russian congregation. For the last couple of years, she's led a group of moms and kids, and so she wanted to start this for the Ukrainian moms and the kids.
Когда случилась война в Украине, Бог дал откровение: вставайте, поднимайтесь, пора работать, пора действовать.
We've needed a larger team of volunteers. The Russian women lead the Ukrainian women. Me and the Estonian women, we don't speak Russian, and so we've taken on working with the kids and playing with the kids.
Наша цель – это предложить душевную, духовную поддержку, духовную помощь.
Из некоторых встреч можно очень много для себя почерпнуть знаний, например, о воспитании детей, о том, как бороться с стрессами, о том, как наладить отношения, о том, про Бога мы тоже говорим часто, как молиться.
Нам задают духовные вопросы, связанные с тем, почему Бог допустил ту или иную ситуацию. Я молилась в тот момент, я спросила у Бога тот же самый вопрос, и Бог сказал: у вас есть то, чего нет у них. У вас есть надежда на Бога.
Да, мне лучше. Я чувствую себя лучше, легче, мне нравится сюда ходить.
In the 2.5 years that I've been in my current role as Impact Team leader, there have been two nations that I have worked most closely with, and they are Russia and Ukraine. There's been some real animosity developed between some parts of the Ukrainian church and the Russian church.
We see pictures of things that happened in Bucha and Irpin, and a lot of times you see the words below, we'll never forget, we'll never forgive. And I think as believers, we're already praying, Lord, undo that, help.
To reconcile Russians and Ukrainians can start from the very little piece of land. God has taken 5 loaves and 2 fishes, and that is how God is dealing with the big, huge problems. He changes the rules of the game.
We practically have to find ways to help people say, you know, in our in our anger, we're not going to sin. We're going to love. We're going to love like Jesus loved.
We're united around His kingship, that regardless of the color of our passports or where we were born or our native languages, He's King.
Through this crisis, it's been really encouraging to see the body of Christ coming together in a way that just spans borders and ethnicities and tribes and language barriers and everything else, to serve and to not only meet needs physically and emotionally, but spiritually, and proclaim the gospel.